Hey, there you are. There is a lady that posted on the internet forums more than 20 years ago, actually, named Carla, and she lived in California where they made these Axelson lathes, and they're more plentiful in California, at least back in those days. And she made the comment, you know, between Monarch, she liked Monarchs, and I do too. I like all lathes that work. But anyway, she favored the Monarch lathe, and there's a lot of reasons too. But the one thing that she said that I thought was really kind of great was these Axelsons are just fantastic machines, but they're hard to use. Everything is heavy to move, and the carriage is pretty good, and the cross slide's that's real sweet. But it's hard to shift those pin levers and those headstock levers. I'm not kidding you. My feet come off the ground sometimes shifting those things. But I've been putting this thing through its paces. I've got a bunch of little parts to make and other things to touch up for projects, real boring stuff. I don't bother to turn the camera on. You know, I could just might as well put on a live cam, huh? I just dink around with this. But I'm trying to put some hours on it and shake out the problems with it and get it adjusted. And yesterday, I broke this gib adjuster screw here, and trying to adjust that gib. And it was, I think, already quite stressed. So I was looking around for something kind of tough, you know, that I knew would be kind of tough. And I had this hunk of metal here. And this is some really tough, some kind of weird pre-hard from the Hanford nuclear site. High in nickel. Well, anyway, I made that little part out of that, and it's a tough one. I'm not kidding. That's a tough screw. Single pointed the 5/16 18 threads on it. This machine's great for single threaded. Got all this ribbon of this hard to cut material all over the place. Here, razor sharp. I gotta pick it up. This stuff's so hard that it's just too hard to make a chip. So you got to deal with that stuff. But and some other things I did. I put in a solid 4 hours running this machine, solid, you know, and like half a shift, you know. Took a coffee break and all that. And I tell you what, at the end of that, I was quite tired. So, you know, and that's kind of. And these old, these old lathes are like that, and that's why they're such a bargain. I'll call it a bargain for old retired metal craftsmen, and that could start with an M, but we'll start it with a C. Craftsmen, and only craftsmen watch this channel, you know. Well, that's it. But anyway, just, you know, you look at, you got to look at some things logically. And I was looking at HGR surplus, and I'm not plugging them or anything, but if you look a used import machine of like size of these old classics, go for twice as much or even more than twice as much, you know. And there's a reason for that, is you can actually make more money with that if you have a machine shop where you just got to put out stuff as fast as you can. And but if you don't have to, and you're retired and you just don't care, these old machines are actually, in many ways, more versatile than the Hercules Ajax or the Morisiki, and you know that. The Hercules Ajax, by the way, was the Mazak, and very historic machines made in Japan. They're just fantastic. They're fantastic machines. But they were built for more modern times, you know. This one here, I think they first started coming out with something just like this, almost like this in 1939, and this one's in 1941, and they made a lot of advancements every year. And so I think up until sometime into World War II, each one of these machines is going to be a little more of an individual, like the Monarch 10EE, because I think they were, you know, kind of built one at a time. I was told that there was a 1-year order wait on the Axelson. And looking at many Monarch manuals, it seems like the average order to delivery time was 6 to 8 months. So that's kind of how it was on those really good old lathes. And by the way, this lathe here was the price of this little house here that was around $5,500 in 1941 with this fantastic garage. the horrible concrete was poured by my grandfather later. And there's plenty of this concrete to go around town here. It can be harder than granite or have soft spots. Great concrete, anyway. Now I got another kind of funny story here I was going to talk about. Now I've done a variety of things, you know. As a millwright, you get into a lot of things. But anyway, I was into motorcycles, you know. I've always liked motorcycles, got involved in dealership, went through the Harley-Davidson training and certification program that took 2 years, worked in dealerships, blah, blah, blah. Well, worked here and there as a machinist. Oh, no! Yeah. But anyway, when I got into my own shop, because I could draw back on that motorcycle stuff to fill in work when I was targeting industrial hydraulics, you know. So I was getting in the industrial hydraulics, but still could rely on the power sports. Okay. Now the power sports is a whole other thing, and it's just horrible competitive back then between the people involved in it. And there was racing teams. And at one time, I think they were arena cross or something, you know. But my job is to remove metal. And these racing team people and mechanics and whatever would have to point out to me where to remove the metal and how much. And since I had these competitive teams in my shop, they're all going, you can't tell so-and-so what I'm doing, what you're doing for me, and you can't tell anybody about this and all that. And you know, if you're doing work for people, just don't fall into telling each other and competitive stuff like that. So I'm trying to think exactly what it was. There was 2 dealerships that were involved in this racing, and this one independent guy. And this one independent guy was he was a real pain in the ass. But I tried to help him because just for the good of industry, and I like bikes, and people I know did business with him and stuff like that. But it's like he's going, I don't want anybody to know anything, and all this stuff. You can't tell anybody anything. Well, this was quite some time ago, and there was like 2-stroke dirt bikes, you know. I think they kind of phased them out because they pollute, you know. And I used to ride 2-stroke dirt bikes until they made them so powerful they started throwing me off of them. And I don't think these are for me. They made some killer 2-stroke dirt bikes, and they're just absolutely dangerous weapons. But okay, So I'm sworn to all this secrecy by this guy, right? And I was doing the two-stroke heads. They're like domes, and they got 2, maybe 3 angles, depending on what the mechanic wants. I'm not a two-stroke guy, okay? But I could put their sleeves in, and in the cylinders with my machinery, and mill those heads on the jig board using the tree head, okay? So over and back then, I had a good thing going with this huge dealership that this guy, he was a car dealer, and he bought multiple dealerships. And so I was doing engines for him for quite some time until Harley started having replacement Evolution engines made in Brazil, and it was cheaper for the dealership to just replace an entirely new engine, you know. But that's just typical in the power sports thing. You go, oh, that's over, then you look at something else. So anyway, this guy comes in and he sees how I did the heads. He happened to pop in, and he saw me doing the heads on the jig board, which is the same as the milling machine. And he goes, you're not using a lathe. Because everybody had to use a lathe, and it took longer to set it up. They just lay it in that jig board, center it, bang, bang, and cut those angles with that tree head. So this guy that sworn me to secrecy for 2 years immediately goes to the competition, another guy he had do stuff, and a guy that also did Harley stuff, and rats off how I did those heads. Just betrayed me. And that's my tree boring head betrayal story. So keep your eyes open. They're out to get you. Not really, but I tell you what, you know, you just got to keep your eyes open sometimes, you know. And I should have not let him see that, because that actually caused me considerable financial damage, because the other guy, of course, was going to do it for nothing, you know, because he's trying to stab me over the Harley thing. So, you know, it's a very competitive business, you know, back then. And, you know, I just, it's an interesting thing with the machine work and stuff like that. A fellow was here yesterday. We're talking about the community college systems, and they closed the community college here, the machinist program. And the basic reason is the students weren't getting jobs once they got out of the program, and that's what happened. So they closed the community college program here, which was really just too bad. And they had an excellent welding program, and they drastically downsized that. One of the instructors in the welding program, like, welded on the dam construction here. You know, he was really good. But had just very talented people in these schools. The machinist instructor was a Navy machinist. And it's kind of interesting. When I worked as a millwright, I worked with 2 other millwrights that were Navy machinists. And Navy machinists, you don't hear about them much, but those are guys that, you know, you got to keep an eye on them. They'll start making nuts and bolts if they can't find them, rather than go to the store. No, I'm not kidding you. Navy machinists can do it. They really can. No, I got to say, the instructor here at the community college, then he retired. Then they got an instructor that was, you know, trying to introduce the CNC stuff, you know, and trying to keep up with technology and stuff like that. But overall industry was changing, and I think that's basically why that program changed. And there's still a community college about 50 miles away that has a machinist program. And I know one of the fellows here, the guy that I was doing those little arbors for, his son runs that. He's the head guy at that program. And I asked him how things were going, and he says they're pretty good, because he got some new students, some new first-year students that are really happy about that. And that's good news, it's really good news. But, if you can gain these machinist skills to one degree or another, it will help you in any other mechanical and just about any other field, because yeah, you can do things. One of the things Doozer mentioned about Forrest, and Doozer's a good guy. He's like an old miller. About Forrest, grumpy Forrest. One thing that he did is he could sharpen a drill bit by hand, just really, good. He could sharpen the drill bit by hand, even a big one, okay? And I think even small ones. And then he stoned the points, And the only guy I knew that did that was the Navy machinist instructor at the community college here. But I don't know, maybe for fun, I'll do some hand grinding of points when I have to with this drill. And when I got Morse taper 4 shanks for this that fit the Axelson, that fit the drill, so that'll be good. But hand sharpening a drill bit is kind of more important than it might seem, and it takes practice, and I just thought I'd throw that in, that it's an important deal. Hey, I'm going to come back with another video and show some antique precision measuring instruments that actually work and don't cost too much. Okay, I'll be back. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Hey, I posted some still photos in some of my early videos of this Brown and Sharp milling machine and the condition that it was in when I got it. Even some pictures of it at the recovery yard where it was. Maybe sat outside for 3 years. I'm not sure, and just how long that took place. But before that, the machine hadn't been used for who knows how many years. And what I found with these machines is they really make a racket when you start using them. And I think it's the best thing to do is to, when you get them going, is to run them in the low gears and for a while. And in this case, it's got reverse, and run the machine in reverse, forward, starting in the lower gears, and just kind of keep shifting through the lower gears and work your way up. Now, this thing, I know in the earlier videos was just extremely loud. I don't know how many hours I got on it. Maybe not a whole lot, but maybe 40 hours or a little more. And I'm going to start it up. And keep in mind, this has a silent chain drive that still has adjustment. The chain's in good condition. Now this thing, I could hardly talk over it at all, but it's just smoothed out so nice, and it's just got a whole bunch of gears in there, and it's just a sweet machine, and you wouldn't really notice. But you can put the thing in reverse. Let's see if I get that switched over here. Probably not with one hand. Yeah, there it is. Then I get this back into gear. Okay, there it's reversed for the vertical head, but it's turning in the normal direction on the horizontal spindle. Now, I'm finding this on the Axelson too. It's really loud and it's quieting down. And I've been running it in reverse for this logical reason I'll show you. The most noise coming out of these things is back in here. And if you run it in reverse, you can see on the oil level window that it throws the oil back there and lubricates that stuff. So what I've been doing upon warm up is running it in reverse. And I found that works on the later EEs, Monarch 10 EEs too, by getting a little extra lubrication to the headstock. So I'm warming the machine up before I use it. And I think that's important. You know, I'm not using the machine maybe enough. I think I might have about 50 hours on it, and it's getting a lot better. But when I start using the machine, I know I'm going to use it. I'll put it in reverse at a lower speed and let it warm up. Okay, over now.